Yo, yo, what's up, guys? It's Goose from the Wise Wealth Discord coming back at you with another. It's not Sunday, it's Monday morning, but a little watch list for you guys. Give you guys a heads up on what I'm looking at, what we're seeing this week. We got a bunch of economic data. We have huge earnings coming from major big tech, the Magnificent Seven. I mean, it's not quite AMD, but we have AMD, Google, Microsoft. Tuesday. I do think before open UPS, Marathon, these are some that could affect the market. GM, Mastercard, that's a big one. Phillips 66, more oil stuff. But Thursday is the big one. Apple, Amazon, and Meta. Those are like the three biggest companies in the world. So we'll have to be watching for these closely because that could send the market up or down. The only thing I don't like is the huge run ups they're having before earnings. A lot of them have just been on a tear lately, and typically it's like inverse when you go into earnings. If you nosedive, then you typically get a little bit of love. But we've seen Tesla, they've been nosediving before earnings down 20%, and they had a 12% day the next day. So nothing's really guaranteed. Tuesday, job openings, JOLTS. We have consumer confidence. Wednesday, non-farm payroll. Chicago PMI, FOMC statement. That's going to be the biggest catalyst out of any earnings or anything that happens. They have an interest rate decision. It's going to be big. Press conference. Thursday, we have initial jobless claims, manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing Friday, average hourly earnings, non-farm payrolls, unemployment rate. So a lot of these will be affecting the market for sure. The biggest one is FOMC, and then obviously Google, AMD, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta. These are some of the biggest tech companies in the world and the most valuable. Just a quick reminder, if you did receive notification from Goose 709, that was definitely a fake. I'm not sure exactly. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure exactly who it was or what had happened, but if you got a DM from this, please report or just don't respond. It was not me. They were just sending some weird thing about fluctuating markets or whatever, saying people were concerned. So just a heads up to be watching out for that. It is possible with, as we get more members, there's more people looking to do weird crap amongst the Discord, and we'll try and minimize that for sure. Let me pull up TradingView. I didn't realize it was on my other monitor. So I'm going to break down some of the stocks that I'm looking at, how we're looking at them. I usually start with the SPY. As you can see, the SPY is just flagging. It hasn't really dropped or done anything significant. So what we're waiting to see if we can get a break above these levels that it topped out at. Let me lift this a little bit. So you could see that it's in kind of a range right now. It's just going sideways. And that's when there's indecision. As you can see, there's a lot of data coming up. We have the big earnings coming up, so people want to see these things before they make any, major decisions. So we want to see this break up or down. Um, I believe that February probably showed weakness. The last few years have resulted in some sort of major pullback to a correction type area, about 5 to 10% in drawdown. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards because Friday does start, or I think it's Thursday we start February, and then Friday is February 2nd. So we'll just have to wait and see. I do think we could break above in the middle of the week and kind of trap a lot more bulls, and then they could start sending it down. But I'm watching this level just to see if we can get above all time highs at 49, maybe breach 490, 495 area. And then if we break below, if you can't hold this down here at 43, the next liquidation point would be right around 478, 477, somewhere around here where all this chop was. So that's how I'm looking at the SPY broken up above or below. There's not really a trend right now. It's just sideways. QQQ, same thing. I do think this looks pretty bullish though, the way that they held this previous support. or previous resistance turned into support, and they held this on Friday pretty well. So broken above this little falling wedge would be pretty big, pretty bullish movement. I would assume I'm going to be buying calls today just because it's Monday, and typically things are just pretty bullish on Monday. That's the lowest volume day. I think a lot of people go in with shorts on Sunday and then, hoping for some bad news over the weekend, and then they end up covering and squeezing up. But kind of the same thing with SPY is like I want to see it broken above the 425 area, and then maybe if you want to play it even more safe to make a higher high over this previous high. Because right now, lower high or lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So that's what you would call a downtrend. So it is in a downtrend technically. It's a very short term downtrend because you back it up to like the 4 hour. You can see that we're obviously in an uptrend, but you want to be breaking these out to go up, just like this, where there was consolidation. It was going sideways. They broke above, and then boom, you got like a 10% move there. Going sideways, boom, broke above. You get another big move. So it's like that's what we're looking for here to get that same kind of continuation. If we do want to go on the upside, uh, I would want to see broken above this level of resistance where it hasn't created a higher high in since the 24th of January, somewhere around there. So it's been about 5 days, 4 or 5 days. We've been kind of in a lower high, lower low situation. We'll see if we could break out. That's big tech, IWM, kind of same situation as SPY, just sideways. So they're really waiting on this interest rate decision. They're waiting on big earnings to see what happens. Although big tech doesn't affect IWM as much, big tech is the leader in it. So, like we always say, tech leads SPY. It's chips leads tech, and tech leads SPY. So, like chips, as in Nvidia, AMD, Intel, SMCI, those are the leaders in the market. So if those go up, then you'll start to see SPY go up the next few days. And usually, if SPY and QQQ are up, the chips are up, IWM will be following. But in the start of the year, sometimes there are days where IWM shows a little bit more strength than what QQQ does because there's a little bit of rotation in the smaller caps because they've been so beat down. I mean, you go into the weekly, you could see that, it's still technically in a bear market as SPY and QQQ are all the way at their all-time highs around here. Is their all-time high is 244, somewhere like exactly right there, 244 area. And what I did like is this break and retest that they had of this ultimate downtrend. So I think they're working their way up. And then Jimmy and I were speaking is that they're most likely just waiting for the interest rate decision to get a little bit more guidance. If they do explain that there's a cut coming, I could see this breaking above and going for like the 200, 205 area, somewhere up here to, see if we could breach these previous highs that we had made, I believe, last year. Yeah, right towards the end of last year, they were making those highs, and then they started a little correction, came down 9%. Now they're breaking above and consolidating. So they still remain pretty strong. You do want to see a break above just to get more confluence, probably above 198.70, about 199 to be safe, but this is a good area as well, 197.25. So that's how I'm looking at the indexes. We can go down to, it does look like Bitcoin may have bottomed already. I still want to see it get back into this range and battle its way in there. Right now, it's just sitting right on under it. This is a pretty big range that we were watching. It broke above, made a big move, and then it was obviously a sell the news event when the Bitcoin ETF came out and was approved. It got denied the first time. Now it's coming back. If it gets denied again, I could see lower, about 38,000, 37,000. You get all this liquidity right here. So let's get into some of the stocks, some of the charts. We got Apple. It is making a lower high right here. That was kind of big. Kind of like a almost a double top, but right now we have some lower highs going on. So we'll see if it could break above that. Obviously, earnings and all that is going to be huge, so I could see it start to maybe sell off, come and fill this gap again that it made on the upside. They've been getting a good push as of recently. Microsoft still remaining strong. That's the thing that you like to see is like I know I'm in the 4 hour, but these stocks that are all time highs. I mean, they're just consolidating there. You just see straight consolidation, and when these indexes are ranging, and you see some of these strong names that are at all time highs, and they're not getting like denied heavily or just smoked all the way back down. It's a pretty bullish sign because I mean these are all time highs that it's just ranging at. And it's like that makes it show quite a bit of strength that when QQQ is coming down a little bit. I mean, I don't know what it was from the top, about 1.5%. Then you look at some of the stronger names like Microsoft and like Nvidia. It's like they're just flagging. They're just showing their consolidation. You have Meta too, same thing, just showing a decent little consolidation pattern, and that's pretty bullish. That's showing bullish price action because when the market is, showing some sort of consolidation weakness, it's just staying right there. It's not getting smoked. It's not a huge sell off just because we're at all time highs. People aren't, tending to take profits because they see another leg higher. Nvidia kind of similar to what QQQ has going on, broken above 615 or 617 to make a new higher high. It could definitely run right back up into all time highs at like 628. 628.49 is 52-week high, which is the all-time high. But a nice little bull pennant formation. You just want to see it broken above, and we can get more continuation. Meta is more like a rising wedge. They have earnings as well, but most of them are just consolidating near all-time highs. And I think Meta's at all-time highs. Yeah, they are. Previous was right about here, 383. So they're broken above. But like I said, what's kind of scary is just the run up that we're having in earnings. And then we have the FOMC coming up with February historically being a weak month. So I don't know. I could definitely see definitely a little pullback and some bad news start to come through. We'll see what happens. But I think that's crazy the night and day. You see the left side all red and then on the right side all green. Like that's just crazy the difference. And I remember all the fear and the FUD they were spilling when this was all happening in the bear market of 2022 was happening. It was just a bunch of fear mongering, a bunch of fucking articles, and then all of a sudden everything turns bullish and we're all hunky dory, soft landing. And it's just wild, to see night and day, all red, all red, all red, and then boom, all green, all green, all green. It's just extreme on both sides. The market seems very, very edgy. So we got Tesla. This is the weekly looking like a fat downtrend. Just can't quite get up over this and make higher highs. They did explain that they're Elon's going to be experiencing probably less volume and demand than they were expecting in 2024, and their margins aren't as good because they keep cutting prices. So we'll have to wait and see if they do start to turn bullish a little bit. One thing I guess they got going is just this natural trend on the bottom where you could see it's bounced off of a few times. It's up 1% pre-market up to 185. I don't still haven't found the 200 EMAs and stuff like that, so I need to figure that out. I don't know what this is. EMA, MA crossover. Yeah, no. I think I took that off for a reason. Let me find it really quick. Remove. Oh, I could just click that. There we go. Yeah, but they could potentially bounce at this area and start to move up a little bit. Just because there's a short term bounce because of how oversold it is doesn't mean that it's just going to go to the moon. But Tesla historically takes about 7 to 11 days after earnings, and then the following days, if they're down more than 10% or 20%, they come back on average about 15% gains. So if we were to, test that theory and it does from earnings the bottom 15% would be about perfect to filling this gap. So I could see it, maybe break the 200 level, get everyone bulled up, and then just get smoked right back down. That's kind of my prediction, is that it could, have a big jolt up, get these RSIs a little bit less oversold because they're very deeply oversold right now on the daily and 4 hour. Fill up this gap and then eventually go back down for another leg lower if things don't start to shape up in the economy. But we'll see. AMD, another chip stock, remaining very very bullish. Um, this is kind of the same similar situation to what Nvidia has going on. Is it's just kind of chopping lower. You just want to see it broke and start making higher highs. It's kind of a messy chart. Definitely getting a little bit more messy than you would like it to be, but broken above, right about where it's at pre-market. It's up 1% in a quarter. Still remaining very strong. They have earnings this week as well. Google, same thing. They have earnings. They're breaking out of their little rising wedge. That's usually a little bit on the oversold side, but they're right at all-time highs. I mean, even Google is making all-time highs, and they're not really a high-flying stock. But that's what scares me, is that a lot of them are in all-time highs, and then you have, earnings coming up, and usually it's a pretty big sell the news event if these things do happen. Amazon, I've been watching them closely because they have this beautiful wedge thing going on. It broke, retested it. They're just kind of holding it. Um, we'll have to wait and see. They have earnings as well. Actually, yeah, it's Thursday. They have them on same day Meta and all them report. So we'll see. Estimate 165 billion. Nothing major, just 165 billion in one quarter. But yeah, they've been wedging pretty nicely. If they have great earnings, you could see them go towards the 185, 190 area, which would be their all-time highs. See if they can get up there. Netflix has been very, very strong after that. The earnings gap and break that Jimmy and I were talking about is this right here. So you could see in their earnings they had a huge gap up. They base it, they make a nice little consolidation base and gap up, base, hold, boom. And it's like that was a nice move. I think it was like 2 or 3% from this break. Yeah, about 3% move from that break. That's a pretty good day trade right there. You can make a solid amount of money. And this is the most, profitable or for sure, pattern that you can find out there is the earnings gap. They base it and then they break it out. And it's like it could break to the downside too, but when you see it breaking the upside, you can buy calls and you're good. That's mostly it for the Mag 7. I have been watching Baba a little bit more just because of their stimulus that they got in China. They announced like a 300 billion in stock buybacks to kind of stimulate their awful stock market and their awful economy that's happening. But yeah, anything above 75, 75.30 can definitely go and fly because there's a gap here, gap there. Next resistance to be about 79, so maybe some $80 calls. It wouldn't be a terrible idea a few months out, a couple months out, but it's been absolutely annihilated. So you still have some things to work through. Um, Obviously, it's just in a pretty big downtrend, but after having um, uh, that stimulus be announced, that was kind of big from all fronts. So we'll see. I was kind of looking for that thing I used for the W shape. Oh, here it is, I think. Oh, I don't know why that huge line is here. So it's kind of building a W. What you want to see is a break above this, neckline. You just take that, make its neckline. So you want to see it broken above this level right here, about 78.50, and then it can continue higher because this was a big support level. So it's going to act as resistance, but you might be able to get some decent calls leading up to that, like some $80 calls. So most likely it's going to get somewhere over there as long as their news doesn't get that bad. Snow, we were watching that one. It is definitely on a breakout. We're just letting it kind of work its way through. Jimmy said that is you want to see it above 210, I believe. It's just not quite getting there. You can see some obvious resistance. Wick, 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 and another wick. It's not getting up there yet, but it is definitely breaking the space and turning into a stage two. 240 right here where these liquidity zones were would be the next point of resistance. So if we can get above 210, 240, most likely we could get there and hold above. We're down about 1% in pre-market, so we'll see how it plays out. I didn't really look at futures. So we got about 0.10. Check the 15-minute out. Similar pattern, obviously, to what the Qs have. You could see that this is acting as resistance still. You want to see this broken above. If it does break below, you might be able to get some shorts in, but I would not short the market on a Monday. Mondays are usually just rippers. We'll see no real data coming out. I could see us kind of ripping into Tuesday, Wednesday. So the interest rate decision might even be chopped. Might not even have some plays, which would be unfortunate. It's my one day off of work, but we're definitely getting some big moves this week. Big, big, big moves. Got all this coming up, and we'll just have to wait and see, guys. Everyone have a great week. Um, I will be in Discord. Jimmy will be in Discord, and we'll be informing you about some of the breaks, um, earnings release, all the good stuff. FOMC will be huge on Wednesday. We'll have to release some of the language that they're talking about. But hope everyone has a great day. Thanks for tuning in.